All right, thanks everyone for joining us again. My name is Danielle, she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Organizing with AAPI New Jersey. We're really excited that y'all are here to join us today for our second kickoff training session. This one is focused on phone banking and text banking. So we separated our in-person and our virtual trainings for this year. So during our time together today, I'll share a little bit about AAPI New Jersey. If you're new to the organization, we'll talk about phone banking, then we'll go into text banking. And if you haven't already, feel free to drop into the chat box your name, pronouns, and the township that you're joining us from. All right, so a little bit about AAPI New Jersey. We were founded about 5 years ago now, and our mission is to champion the rights, representation, well-being, history, culture, and contributions of the state's over 1 million Asian Americans. We do this through three main pillars of work. That's policy advocacy, education, and culture and community building, which I will dive into shortly, but do want to share that we're a growing team, and I forgot to intro last time I did the training, but we have Ibrahim on the call with us, who will be our civic engagement intern. So very excited to have him joining us for this election cycle. Throughout our cycle, you're going to meet our other team members who are part of the field team doing all of this GOTV work, as well as some of our captains who are out in the field with us. All right, so I'll start with some of our policy advocacy focus areas. We do a lot around immigrant protections and immigrant rights. If you attended our canvassing training with us, you know that included a brief Know Your Rights presentation, or as we call it for short, KYR, about interactions with law enforcement or immigration enforcement. We do a lot of work around voting rights. So the New Jersey Voting Rights Act, which, is actually now known as the New Jersey John Lewis Voter Empowerment Act, which did pass in the Assembly, and we're trying really hard to make sure that it gets passed out of the Senate as well and signed into law. We're interested in things like same-day voter registration and doing outreach to counties regarding language access compliance. So currently in Middlesex County, election materials are required to be in Gujarati and Hindi, and in in Bergen County, they're required to be in Korean. So that's something that we look out for to ensure that those laws are actually being followed and voters have all the information they need in the languages that they are allowed to have that in. We're interested in state budget advocacy for AAPI community serving nonprofits. So really just thinking about building up the capacity for organizations like AAPI New Jersey and other grassroots Asian orgs that are really supporting and centering our communities, which have been historically underfunded and underinvested in. Again, language access implementation. So outside of the polls, there was a law passed in New Jersey stating that agencies must provide their critical documents in a number of languages. So we're interested in making sure that there's progress happening around that implementation. Similarly with data disaggregation, there's a bill stating that the data should be disaggregated. And this is really important for Asian American communities because, we within Asian American umbrellas have one of the highest racial wealth gaps. So it's really important for us to see that data disaggregated. We do work around police accountability and alternative crisis response, as well as federal policymaking and defense. If you follow us on socials, you might have seen that we were down in DC on April 1st for the Birthright Citizenship Rally outside of the Supreme Court. So we're interested in things like constitutional rights and making sure that those are upheld. On the voter outreach side, we are interested in voter reg and turnout. In New Jersey, we do have automatic voter registration. So the gap between sort of eligible Asian voters versus registered Asian voters is actually not that big. So turnout is a really big piece then of what our work is looking to do. And then we also want to make sure that everyone who's voting knows what their rights are and also is an informed voter. So again, with language access, there are those two counties that have ballots information in different languages. And at the same time, you are allowed to bring an assister of your choice into the polls to help you vote. We unfortunately have seen violations of that where people are told they're not allowed to bring someone in. You really can, though. It can be your child. It just, I think, can't be your employer or your union representative. Outside of that, anyone can come help assist you with your ballot. In terms of informing our voters, we are working on a candidate questionnaire for Congress. We'll hopefully have that up in early May. We did a forum for CD11 candidates, and really on our website, we want to make sure that we're sharing all the information that we're compiling and also sharing information like important dates in different languages. We also are involved in leadership development, so building the pipeline of AAPI leaders. We know that we need more representation where decisions are being made. So we work with organizations like Rutgers Center for American Women in Politics or New American Leaders that host trainings on that help people learn the skills to run for office. We are a nonpartisan organization, so we don't endorse particular candidates or parties. So this work is all done in a nonpartisan way. We just really want Asian Americans to have the information and the skills that they need should they want to run. And lastly, we have census and redistricting preparation. Census is 2030, which might seem far away, but a lot of the groundwork has to happen now to make sure that we're prepared to participate and get out the count, GOTC, and make sure that Asian American voices are considered in that. I mentioned education is one of our big pillars. We have an initiative called Teach Asian American Stories. So in 2022, there was a mandate passed that Asian American history and contributions be taught in public schools. There was no funding behind that, so AAPI New Jersey has really taken it upon ourselves to work on that implementation and really getting information into schools. We do that through consultative services, coaching, grants for professional development, local resources. We have a fellows program where we work with teachers who will do a year-long intensive with Dr. Kyati Joshi from Farley Dickinson University. And so they'll be equipped to teach lessons on Asian American history contributions, and then can lead those for their classrooms or for other teacher staff professional development opportunities. And I just want to go back to this first slide here because we have our map. This is our Roots and Routes map that traces the history of Asian and Asian Americans in New Jersey, and it goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War, which we love to emphasize because there is that perpetual foreigner myth, right? That I'm sure many folks here in the room have been asked, like, oh, but where are you really from? And the truth is, Asians have been in New Jersey since before, we were a country. So we love just making sure that we're centering that history in the work that we're doing. And then with the map too, there are lesson plans that accompany all of the different things that are highlighted on the map, and we have them for different grade level specifics. And then everything is ultimately routed back to the standardized curriculum pieces that teachers across the state need to follow. And in New Jersey, there are actually over 650 school districts, I think it is. There are more school districts in New Jersey than there are townships in New Jersey, which is kind of wild to think about. But our task team is doing a really fantastic job at making sure we're getting information into classrooms. And with that, I'll go into our GOTV work for the year. So in the 2025 general election, I just want to highlight that we had some really high voter turnout. 54% might not seem that high, but that's really great for a non-presidential election year. And then you can see voter turnout in 2024 was around 63%. So these are pretty good numbers. We always want to make it better. We always want to make sure that we have more Asian Americans voting and that their voices are being counted. One way that we count Asian perspectives is through our exit polling. So if on election day you want to hang out with us all day, we will set up exit polling stations in partnership with ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund. We do this in Bergen County, Middlesex County, Hudson County, and last year we also added Passaic. And so we just talk to voters about their voter experience because we want to know we're concerned about making sure that their rights are respected at the polls, their voting rights, and then also get information about what are the most important issues to them, what influenced their vote the most. The other way that we get to know people's perspectives is through deep canvassing. So this is a method of voter outreach where we're focused on having friendly conversations with people. It's not transactional. It's not a saying, knocking on the door once and you're saying, hey, you have to go vote. This is about understanding what people like about their communities, what they want to change about their communities, and what issues are really keeping them up at night. Um, oops, was meant to skip those slides. So some conversations that you might have while you're deep canvassing on, and this is, will be part of the phone script is uh, getting questions like, oh, why should I vote? Like, or say my vote doesn't matter, or who should I vote for? Um, for the first one, it is important for people to vote, right? I think for me, I always talk about what we call down ballot elections. So not just, Congress sort of top of the line and Senate for top line for right now, but thinking about like drilling down to local, like what's happening at the municipal level, what's happening at the school board level or at the referendum level. In Montclair, we recently had a vote about how our township was going to handle some that were in. And there were two questions on it, and one of them was decided by 8 votes, which it goes to show how important it really is for people to show up. And then you might get a question a lot of times of who should I vote for? AAPI New Jersey is a nonpartisan organization, so we can't tell people who to vote for. What we can do is direct them to our candidate questionnaire. And this will all be in the scripts for when you're doing phone banking. Sorry, I should mention the deep canvassing applies to the phone banking. If you're text banking, that is a much simpler script. And we'll start later in the season, whereas deep canvassing phone calls will be starting next week. And these are ones that we're really trying to have conversations with people for. And I would love, before I go into the technical piece of how to make the calls, uh, Ibrahim, do you want to come off of mute and maybe just share a little bit about your experience doing deep canvassing work, either how it's been in the field or on the phone?
So for phone banking on the phone, I gotta say it's a lot easier than deep canvassing because you're on your phone, you're not really walking around. So whenever you're out of breath, you don't need to like take a little break, just need a sip of water. I gotta say it's a lot more fun because turns out like it's kind of like gambling. Like there's a chance that you might like call someone that you know. This one time, I actually called one of my mom's friends, and then after I called her, my mom, she texted my mom, and then my mom like asked me like what I'm doing, and then I told her about all this stuff. But yeah, so it's a lot easier than deep canvassing. If you get rejected, they probably think you're a bot, but at the end of the day, uh, you're just doing work. So yeah, it's a good way to learn how to talk to people as well. uh, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that story that you ended up calling somebody that you knew. That's amazing. I mean, we do try to like reach out to every Asian in New Jersey. That's like the dream goal. For our phone banking, we will start with targeting Middlesex, Hudson, and Bergen County, since those are the ones where we do have a footprint in terms of our door knocking campaign. Um, so especially if you live in one of those three counties, phone banking could be really fun because you might call someone you know. That's amazing. And I will say too with phone banking, I think I like within the time frame, I do talk to more people phone banking than you would if you were doing door knocking. You might encounter, and you will encounter some people that might be unfriendly while you're phone banking. That's just sort of part of the par for the course. Um, but you will also encounter people who are so grateful for the work that you're doing. And I really do feel like that makes up for the fact that you might have encountered someone who has a little bit of a sour attitude. But as you're phone banking, we want your comfort to be the number one priority. So if you are ending up speaking with someone who's incredibly rude, we just want you to say thank you and hang up. We don't want you to feel like you're stuck in that conversation. Like you can absolutely just say thank you and end it right there. Okay, I'm going to go into the video next for how to make calls. So we use a system called Scale to Win, and yeah, you'll see how it works here. Or maybe not, hold on.
This incredible mold remover gel can restore your bathroom and tiles to their original shine
Sorry.
in just.
Should have loaded that in advance.
Hello and welcome from Scale to Win. Today, I'm going to show you how to make calls with a Scale to Win dialer. By the end of this video, you'll know the ins and outs of how to make calls and how to document those meaningful conversations that you're having. You can access the Scale to Win dialer on a computer, a tablet, a smartphone, really anything with a microphone and a browser. The dialer works on all major up-to-date web browsers too, including Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. All right, to get started and make your first calls, all you'll need is the link provided to you by your organization's admins. Clicking that link will lead you to a page that looks identical to this one. You'll see these three options. The first one, Script Preview, lets you review the calling script created by your organization. You should always review your campaign script before making calls because you won't actually see that script again until you've connected to a real live person. These second two options, Call with this device and Call with this device and Phone for audio, give you methods to make calls. If you're calling from home with a strong Wi-Fi connection, you may find it easier to call with this device. That way you don't have to juggle a phone or worry about hanging up. However, if you have poor internet connection, or if you're calling in a room with other people like a house party or a campaign office, or in general, if you're just having trouble with Call with this device, using Call with this device and Phone for audio is always a good option. All right, so let's go ahead and pick one and get started. After clicking on a calling option, all you have to do is enter in your number and your name. None of this information is visible to the folks that you're talking to. All of this information is available to your organization's admins, so they know who's making calls. After you enter in that information, you'll be redirected. If you're using Call with this device like I am, just make sure the dialer has permission to use your computer's microphone. As soon as you press Get Started, you'll be placed in a call queue where you'll see some amazing tips and some very silly jokes until you're connected to a live call. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. A call can connect at any moment. Once a call connects, you'll hear a beep and you'll see the script pop up.
Oh,
Hi, Isaiah. Thanks
oh,
so much. Hi, thanks for being a part of our tutorial.
no problem.
All right, so because the person has probably already said hello once or twice, it's important to start talking as soon as you hear the beep. Now that we're connected to a live call, we can see our script, and the status bar tells us that we are talking to Isaiah. The script that appears will be identical to the one that you saw in your script preview. Now we can start answering our questions. When you're finished with your script, you can end the call by clicking the big End Call button in the top right-hand corner. It's important to remember when you're using your phone for audio to use the End Call button on the screen rather than hanging up on your phone. If you hang up on your phone when you're using your phone for audio, your session will end and the results of your call might not log. So you should always use the End Call button when you need to hang up on a particular call. All right, so let's go ahead and use that button now. Bye, Isaiah. Thanks so much.
No problem.
The status bar will turn gray, as you can see. Don't worry if you click the wrong answer. You can easily go back and correct your answers by pressing the Change Previous Answers button, even after you've disconnected your call. Once you've answered all the applicable questions and you feel confident that the survey answer you selected is accurate, you'll reach this wrap-up page where you'll have the option to either disconnect by ending your session or continue calling. If you need to take a break from calling, you can totally wait on this page to go stretch your legs, get some water, anything you need. And then whenever you're ready, you press this Continue Calling button and you'll be thrown right back into the call queue. From the whole Scale to Win team, good luck, and I hope your calls go well.
Whoa.
I clearly should have loaded these videos in advance and skipped the ads very well. Sorry about that. One other trick that we'll share for phone banking, because we will have everybody joining via Zoom, is to disconnect your Zoom audio from your But yeah, just to disconnect your Zoom audio so that way you can still use your laptop to make phone calls. But that way people on Zoom aren't hearing everything that you're saying. And so you would do that by going through hovering your cursor over the up caret near audio. And then there's an option that says leave computer audio. So that's what you would click to disconnect your Zoom audio. So you can stay around in the Zoom call. And then if you have any questions for the folks leading the session, you can come off mute and ask them, or you can put the information, any questions that you have into the chat box. During our phone banking sessions, there's usually a pretty lively chat where people might have questions and everyone is like really supportive and answering things for other people. So yeah, I think phone banking is a fun environment because everyone's very collaborative in the chat box. But I will say making sure that you disconnect from your Zoom audio is pretty key so that you're not distracting other people as everyone else is also trying to make their calls. I know I see Megan's on this call. If you're willing, would you want to come off of mute and maybe share any other tips that I might have missed about phone banking? Sorry to put you on the spot, but you've been with us phone banking for a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. I love phone banking. I think it's so fun and it's such a unique experience being able to interact with everybody, like people you wouldn't meet like otherwise. And so being able to like have that experience is just really fun. And I think it's especially if it's something you're passionate about, like voting and like this specific field, then it's so rewarding like when you get one call that's like getting someone out to vote because it can feel so like disheartening when you get a lot of hangups because a lot of people will and you will. Um, but yeah, just those like small little calls that you get, even if it's one every session, is so rewarding. So yeah, it's so fun and unique.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your experience, Megan. I'm going to switch over to text banking now, so I'll play that video.
Hi everyone! In this video, I'll show what it looks like to be a texter in a Scale to Win text campaign. This includes how to request texts, send responses, apply tags, and more. Keep in mind that before you can be a texter in a campaign, you'll need to make an account with the organization you're working with. This involves being sent an invite link, creating a password, and verifying your email. If you haven't completed this step, you can refer to our Texter account creation video. Once you've created the Texter account, you will be sent a separate distinct link called a Texter link that will allow you to request texts within a specific campaign. A campaign refers to a set of texts sent to a specific contacts list. Each campaign has a unique Texter link, and this is an example of what that link looks like. I'm going to copy this link and paste it into a new window. This takes me to a page where I can click a blue button that says Request More Replies. You'll also notice at the top that it tells me the name of the organization I'm working with and the name of the specific campaign I'm texting in. When I click Request More Replies, I'm assigned a set of text conversations in which contacts have replied to an initial message. I'm going to click on this contact's name in order to open the conversation. You'll see the blue message box on the right-hand side that shows the initial message your organization sent, and then the white box on the left-hand side that shows the response received from that contact. You'll also notice a row of tabs at the bottom of the page. The first gray tab says Responses, and if you click this, you'll see the pre-written responses that your organization developed for you to use in this campaign. You can scroll through the list or search using keywords. Then you'll click on the response that you want to use, and it will appear in the Your Message box. Make sure to review the responses for a reply that fits your conversation, so that your organization can collect all of the information it's looking for. You can also type a response into the Your Message box. However, you should check with your organization before sending a custom response. After that, click Send when you're ready to send your reply. Next to the Response tab is a tab called Tags. Tags are a way to apply data trackers to conversations without sending a response. You can come to the Tags tab if you've been instructed by your organization to mark conversations in certain ways without sending a response. For example, if a contact says this is a wrong number, you can click on the wrong number tag and then click Save Tags to record that data. Tags are created by your organization and are unique to each campaign, so you won't necessarily see these same tags in the campaign that you're texting in. Finally, there's also a tab that says Contact Details. Here, you can make notes about a conversation and send a conversation link to the organization's administration that you're working with. Click on this sentence to copy the link, then share that with the relevant folks in your organization. I'm going to open another conversation in my replies queue. If your organization has instructed you to escalate certain kinds of conversations, you can take this action by clicking the Escalate button on the right-hand side. From the Escalation Reason drop-down menu, you'll select which inbox you'd like to escalate this conversation to. Then click Escalate this conversation. Once you've escalated, the conversation will be removed from your claimed replies. You can opt out a specific contact from this page if, for example, they're being hostile. This would prevent this contact from receiving messages from this organization in the future. Please defer to your organization's instructions for when to use this button. You can click this opt-out button and this message box will pop up. You would click Confirm Opt-out to complete the action. You can also click Mark as not needing response if you want this conversation to be removed from the replies queue so it cannot be claimed by another texter in the future. Finally, you'll notice this box in the top right that shows the time limit you have for responding to the texts you've claimed. You can extend the assignment by clicking here. Once we've taken action on a conversation, you'll notice the circle next to the contact's name changes from green to transparent, and then you're ready to move on to the next conversation. Thanks for watching this video. We hope this helps you get started with your texting work.
All right. So that's a little bit about our text banking system. Again, like we will create the script and have all the different responses in there for you, so you don't have to think about that. If there are things that come up that you don't know, again, we'll be on Zoom, so you can put the questions in the chat box and someone will be able to help you figure out an answer to that question. On Scale to Win, it's both of those videos mentioned creating an account. It's the same platform, so you would only need one account if you're both doing text banking and phone banking. For phone banking, we are also able to see on the back end progress. So we'll oftentimes send updates like we've made 5,000 calls just to keep the momentum going. Since we can see the back end as well, we're also considering gamifying it. So maybe if have a prize for the person that has the most phone calls. That does also mean we can see when people log in but aren't doing anything. We would hope to avoid that. I assume everyone here, since y'all prompt and are on this call with us, aren't going to be doing that. But you know, we want to make sure that the folks that are showing up to this work and getting paid for it are really actually making those phone calls and having those conversations with people. And so just one shift this year is that we will be paying phone banking. Text banking this year will be only unpaid volunteer hours. So if folks need a volunteer certificate, please make sure you're requesting that from us. Otherwise, we're having to like populate tons and tons of certificates. So if that's something that you need for school or for some other purpose, please make sure you're letting us know directly. You can let me know, or our general account is vote@aapinewjersey.org. So if that's something you need, we can absolutely make that happen. All right. If there are any folks here that are associated with organizations, I also do want to mention that we have GOTV micro grants. These are grants up to $500 that go towards projects that are specifically working on civic engagement for Asian American voters. For example, we had a partner out in East Brunswick who hosted an event at a boba cafe, and they partnered with a youth organization, and people came and had to stop by both tables. And then once they did that, they were able to get like a discount card for boba. So we were able to help support that event so that people could get their free boba, because everyone loves that. But really, we love how they were thinking of creative ways to get youth involved with this kind of work, which I think for some people it might not be super interesting. And so it's really nice to see them engage with students and with other community members in a way that's a lot more fun. So if you have any outside the ideas like that or are part of an organization, that is something that we could offer to support civic engagement work. The last thing that I want to mention is that we are in the process still of making updates to our payment process for the cycle. Those of you who have been with us in the past know that there's typically like a delay in your participation and then us being able to get the payment out, just given the way our organization does its cycles. So we will provide updates at the first session. So next week, if you're phone banking with us, we'll have an update then on how that's all going to work out. In the meantime, we do have a GOTV registration and payment form. I'm just going to drop a link in the chat box. Click. All right, so if you're able to fill out the GOTV registration form, that would be awesome and very helpful for us to get that ahead of time. All right, does anyone have any questions about phone banking, text banking, any of the conversations or technical pieces? No? All right. Well, if that's the case, huge thank you to everyone for coming out tonight for our kickoff and training. Hope to see you sign up for more of our events on Mobilize so that we can get in the field and start having those conversations. Thanks, everyone.